The 944 Turbo is back in the garage, and I have two issues that I need to solve. I have low vacuum at idle, and it's running really lean. But I may have found the smoking gun, and that is, I'm an idiot. So stick around and find out what I messed up on this car so you don't do the same thing. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. For those of you that do not know or have not watched any of my previous videos, this is my 1987 Porsche 944 Turbo. I finished a short mini-series where I replaced the air oil separator as well as installed a brand new Kroon wiring harness. I got it all back together, fired it up, and I had a few issues. The first... Oh my gosh.
Get another one, you moron!
New battery installed. The first problem is I have 10 pounds of vacuum at idle. It should be at least 15 to 18. Now granted, it is when it's cold, but still, it should be higher than that. The second issue is it is running extremely lean. And usually the first thing you want to look at if your car is running lean is, do you have a vacuum leak? So the goal of this video was originally to go through the steps to test all the different components in the system with my smoke tester and or a boost leak test if it's necessary. But the first test I was going to try is to spray brake clean while the engine is running and still cold around the intake manifold ports and the fuel injectors to see if there's a leak there. And before I did that, I took a closer look at the intake manifold, and that's where I found the source of my idiocy. So basically, I went up to take a closer look, and I don't know how I did not see this earlier, but take a look right there and right there. Somehow, I let those intake manifold gaskets slide out of position when I put the bolts through and tighten them down on the intake manifold. So is that the smoking gun? I sure hope so. But in today's video, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen up the intake manifold and see how long it takes me to at least get enough room to put in some brand new gaskets and see if that solves my problem. So I'm going to see how little I need to remove in order to get the old gaskets out and the new gaskets in. I am going to remove the charge pipes, the air filter housing, and then move on to the fuel rail, get that picked up and moved off to the side. I probably will have to loosen up the bolts on the back of the intake manifold and then obviously the ones on the front. But I'm gonna see if I can do all of this without removing any of the other vacuum lines or anything like that, because knowing myself, I will forget to tighten something down. So let's see how long it takes me, how difficult it is, and see if that is truly the source of my issues. Alright, so I have the fuel rail removed and moved out of the way. That took me less than 10 minutes to get all of the steps completed to get to this point. And here you can really see that those intake manifold gaskets have definitely slipped down below. I don't know how I missed it, but I'm going to get these front bolts taken out, the two in the back loosened up, and then move this out of the way just a little bit so I can put my new gaskets in and get this tightened down. Okay, so the intake manifold should be loose enough now. I did not take out those bolts on the backside, because once you get those out, they can kind of be a little bit of a nightmare to get lined back up again. So I'm hoping that this allows me enough room to be able to slide out these old gaskets and put the new ones in. And don't forget, the writing goes up on these three, on cylinders 2, 3, and 4, and on cylinder 1, you flip it over, because if you don't, you'll block the port for the fuel injector. So it's time to get these new gaskets in and get that intake manifold tightened down and everything put back together. I have all of the intake manifold bolts started. I don't have them tightened all the way down just in case I did need to move it a little bit. But as you can see now, you do not see any of the intake manifold gaskets sticking out, which is what you want to see. So now I can get these all down and torqued to 15 foot-pounds. And once that's done, I can tighten down the bolts in the back of the intake manifold and really start putting all of this back together, firing this car up and seeing if that was truly the smoking gun. So I have all the intake manifolds in and tightened down. So like I said before, the ones on the front side are tightened down to 15 foot-pounds. The two Allen head bolts on the back side, I don't really worry about a torque on them. They go into metal inserts or nuts that are welded onto that steel brace that bolts down to the side of the engine block. So I just get them good and tight, but not over tightened. And I do want to point out something that I do have to give a shout out to my friend Helio. So shout out to you, Helio. You do want to make sure when you do pull off the intake manifold gaskets that none are stuck underneath. When I tried to remove the one from cylinder number 1, I thought maybe I had lost it or maybe that it had fallen down into the engine base somewhere, and then I realized it was stuck to the underside of the intake manifold. So you want to make sure and double check that you don't have any stuck to the underside of the intake manifold so that you only have one gasket and get them all torqued down properly. I wanted to point something out. I made yet another mistake, and that was when I put the fuel rail back in. So when I flipped it over and kind of set it on top of the power steering reservoir and the inside of the fender, the wires for the spark plugs had gotten moved on the underside of the fuel rail. So I had everything put back in, and I went to plug in all of the fuel injectors, and I noticed that I couldn't get the plug in, and that's when I noticed that these wires were on the other side. So off camera, I had to basically remove the fuel rail again to be able to move these wires onto the correct side of the fuel rail. I think I said it in a previous video, but one of the things that I cannot stand about these 8-valve 944s is that you have to meander all of the spark plug wires in through the fuel rail, around the fuel damper, and through the intake manifold runners to get them onto the spark plugs. But anyway, I was able to get that sorted, and now I can get the cover back on and get the rest of this motor put together and fire it up and see how it runs. car is now put back together to a point where I should be able to start it up and see if it solved any one of my two main issues. Once again, those are low vacuum at idle. The second is I'm running extremely lean. Two intake manifold gaskets weren't seated properly. So let's get in the car, fire it up, and see if I found the smoking gun. Here we go, the moment of truth. Please be the issue, please be the issue. Let's see what happens. Well, it looks like it didn't solve the low vacuum issue, but let's see if it did anything with the air-fuel ratio. Still a little rich, which it should be at cold start, even though it's about 80 degrees out here today. It's getting closer to stoic, which is 14.7. Let's see what happens when it gets there and if it stays there. All right, it's been maybe a minute and we're getting close to 14.7. Starting to dip a little bit above it. Let's see what happens. All right, I'm gonna let this run for a little bit. I'm gonna let the motor get up to operating temperature and then we'll see what the readings are. All right, it's been a few minutes and the car is getting up to operating temperature, and I am happy to say that the air-fuel ratio is right where it's supposed to be. It hovers anywhere between 14.5 and 15.0, but it stays right around that 14.7 mark. And I will say that the vacuum has actually started to increase and is now around 15. I'd like to see it go up to around 18, but the engine still isn't quite at operating temperature yet, so this may still start to climb. Why not give it a couple of revs? Just because. Couple of pops there when I let off the gas. And when I do let off the gas, it does get up to about 20 pounds of mercury. And the air-fuel ratio is still looking good. So it looks like I found the source of my lean issue. Unfortunately, the engine vacuum is still a little bit low at idle, or at least lower than what I would like it to be. And I did confirm on an earlier video that my gauge on the A-pillar is in fact accurate when I put a different vacuum gauge in line with the vacuum to the fuel pressure regulator. So I think it's safe to say that the lean condition was caused by unmetered air, or air from the outside beyond what the air fuel meter was reading, was getting into the system and causing it to run lean. But I do have one more trick up my sleeve to see if I can fix that low vacuum issue. And here I have a new diverter valve. This is an APR unit that is a diaphragm style. My current diverter valve, or blow-off valve, is a piston style. This is an aftermarket Turbo Smart unit that I put in a number of years ago. When I first bought this car, it did have a vacuum leak, and one of the things I tested was the factory diverter valve, and it was in fact leaking. It would not hold vacuum. So I replaced it with this piston style unit. Now, what I have read is that piston style diverter valves are not all they're cracked up to be. While they are great for high boost scenarios, so if you're running more than 20 pounds of boost, they are actually a better option for your car. But I don't plan on running any more than 16 to 17 pounds on this car for longevity's sake. And from what I've read, a diaphragm style diverter valve actually reacts quicker than a piston style. Plus, piston styles do require maintenance. They have O-rings inside, you have to keep them greased up, and I have not done anything on this diverter valve in the 2 to 3 years that I've had it. So I figure, why not try another diaphragm style one and see if maybe that one has been leaking internally, so meaning it's not been letting unmetered air from outside the car in, but maybe it's letting air recirculate through the system. And luckily, the diverter valve on a 944 turbo could just be one of the easiest things to replace in the entire car. Comment below if you know of an easier repair or an easier part that there is to replace than the diverter valve. It is literally 1, 2 hose clamps and a vacuum line, and then this comes right out and I can put the new one in. So here I have both diverter valves next to each other. This is the Turbo Smart piston style one. You can see the piston inside there. And this is the diaphragm style. So you should be able to see it in there. And it's important to point out that this does not install the way that the factory diverter valve installs. The factory diverter valve installs this way, or basically in this orientation. But it looks like, according to what I've read, this one actually installs this way. So hopefully I will have enough room in there to try this out and see if it works. If not, that took me about 30 seconds to remove the old one. I can put it back in if need be. So let's get this one in and see if it makes any difference on that vacuum reading. So after about another 3 minutes, I have this new diverter valve installed. Not crazy about the amount of room. It looks like it's gonna rub on the coolant reservoir here, but it should be okay. But anyway, let's get in, fire up the car again, and see if it makes any difference to that vacuum reading. Fire in the hole. Now it's still a little bit low, so it looks like that really didn't make any difference. The car also did seem to struggle a little bit on cold start, and it is running a little bit lean as of right now. And this was the same issue that I was having before I had all of these problems. So as you can see, once the O2 sensor starts to kick in, it should probably go down to stoic, which it is. But that does not explain that why, when this car is warm, it runs so lean right off of the bat. All right, so I had a little bit of success in this video. I did seem to find at least somewhat of a smoking gun, or at least I found what would be considered probably a major vacuum leak, and that was the 2 intake manifold gaskets for runners in cylinders 3 and 4 were not sealing properly, and that's what was causing it to run so lean right out of the gate. But what I didn't find is why am I getting such low vacuum on cold start, as well as why am I running so lean on warm start. So I'm gonna try to tackle those 2 issues in the next video. So if you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful at all, please give me a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't done that already. Over 90% of my viewers are not subscribed, so it would really help me out if you could just click that button. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you'll be alerted on my next video that I drop on this car and see if I can solve any more of the issues. So thanks for sticking around to the end of this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.